doing? That is not streaming what I would hope it would stream. It's streaming something completely else, which is not what I want. So that's really annoying. Well, it'd be cool if it streamed what I like, what I would want it to stream, but hey, that's unfortunately not the case. So which one's that one? That's number 1. So I need to duplicate. Well, this is not the start I was hoping for. Right, extend. I need to duplicate on 1 and 3. Apply. Did we get there? We've got a black screen. Right, that is technically what I want, but the other way round. No, that's not. Let's try that. Hello? Right, we're back. Okay, cool. You can see all my stuff on my desktop. That's lovely. Where'd Football Manager go? Excuse me. Well, that's really unfortunate. Where's the Task Manager? Give me Task Manager. Where's the... It's there. Oh, it is there. Why? It definitely was not there. You lied to me. Okay, well, maybe I need to start... That's really fun. That didn't quite go exactly how I was expecting. But, nevertheless, hello! How are you all doing? Welcome to the stream for the Sassuolo playthrough. And we're going to be doing this live. Now, for those of you who might be joining the stream, may have seen me streaming earlier. I was streaming some Modern Warfare 3, and we reached a new peak concurrent. I want to say a big thank you to you guys and anyone who subscribed, and hopefully people who did subscribe earlier aren't suddenly going to see this and go, what on earth is this game, and what the hell is this? This is not what I subscribed for. And hopefully they remain subscribed into this one. But nevertheless, we're going to be playing some Football Manager. Now, for those of you who watch the series, again, big thank you if you did watch the series. Really enjoyed posting it, really enjoyed doing everything about it. I love a bit of Football Manager, and it's something I really want to play in my spare time. And throughout the first season, I really wanted to keep playing, keep going into it, but obviously because of YouTube, it kind of hindered me to actually put it up. So we're going to try and give it a go here. I had this like little layout made, and it actually had other things included on the bar part that you'll see down below. Like, I know it looks a bit weird at the moment because I've removed stuff. I'll have to try and get that sorted out maybe for the next one. But we're going to play some FM. I'm going to get this. I've got a limited amount of time probably to throw this one together, so I thought I would just at least get, you know, the Season 2 underway to some sort. I'm going to actually tweet this out to anyone who wants to watch. Starting Season 2 in my Sassuolo. Paste that down. No, don't delete it. I hope that's the right link. Looks like it. So yeah, if you enjoy Football Manager, or maybe you're watching this as a VOD later on, at least you can have an idea of how this season might look, even if you don't watch every video. I will try and do a little recap, even if it's a live stream, as to what happened in the last episode. So here we are in Season 2. Last season we obviously finished 4th. Now if I go to, I think it is competitions, no it's not that one. Or is it that one? Yeah, it is this one, isn't it? No, it's not. How do I get there? There's overview. There was definitely a way to... God, I found this earlier. Well, we'll look at the best 11 at least. Consigli, Peluso, Anti, Acerbi, Nicholas Frey, Alfred Duncan, Stefano Sensi, Pellegrini, Ricci, Politano, Gary Hooper. Very similar best 11 that actually featured throughout most of last year. I say Pellegrini, it wasn't until halfway through he actually came into the squad. He had a very good stint when he did come in. Stefano Sensi actually found himself being replaced by Pellegrini, who well, he's still a great player, and he is still a guy that I really want to get into the team very regularly. It's just hard if he's not progressing. He's still on like 2.5 star, whereas Pellegrini's flying up in ability level. Alfred Duncan, my best player by far, I feel, although he has replaced Magnanelli in this, who usually plays CDM in the best 11. So I'm not sure about it. But that is actually what I kind of want to do, is transition Duncan into that defensive midfielder in front of the back four, although I really like having him as the box-to-box midfielder. We'll have to see about that. But I think maybe this is the year we start to force him back into a deeper role. Lojo Mojo, hello, mate. I'm glad you're enjoying the series. I won't dwell too long on some of the bits and pieces. Gary Hooper bagging 22 goals in 41, which is actually a pretty decent return. You can see there Yajoa as well, 7 goals in 14 before we cancelled his loan spell. I'm surprised that Danny Ings is on this list because he did pretty well. Probably another player of the season last year, Federico Ricci, got 11 goals. I think he got as many assists as well. Alfred Duncan, 10 goals, got a handful of assists as well. Is it landmarks? Is that? No, that's not it. Records, is that the one we need to go to? Where do we go to find out our like overview? Anyway, I was going to show you how we did last season in... Anyway, we finished 4th. We got 69 points. I think the season before, in real life, they finished 6th with 61 points. So we eclipsed our total by 8 points in the end. So I think I'm just going to get on to the transfers so far, and I wish I could kind of black out the part where you see, you know, the ins and outs, just to kind of break it down for you. So I might have to, you're gonna have to just focus on what we're focusing on if you want the surprise. So there's been a lot of outs. Now the first one, Jeremy Morel, who was playing a backup role to Peluso. He only made 9 appearances in his season, and he has gone to SC Lorient. And SC Lorient are in League 2. The Dominoes League 2. And Jeremy Morel, I'm sure, is stuffing a good few pepperonis down his mouth. Not a bad little player, but again, he's getting on a bit, 33 years of age. He wasn't really playing. It's not like it's hard to replace him with anyone else. And we were going to upgrade our fullbacks, so I thought if I'm upgrading my fullbacks, the starting fullbacks are now going to be the backups. So the backup is the third backup. I don't really need that many fullback backups, so I decided to get rid of him for the money that I got for him. It's not too bad. Now we had Alberto Pomini, who is now a manager, and Gianluca Pagolo, who retired. They were both our goalkeepers. I think Pomini was our backup, followed by Pagolo. Not really much to say. They decided to retire. Don't really need them that much, so he didn't feature very often in my squad. Now David Biondi, who's not too bad a player, but I had no real reason to play him. I'm sure he'll make a club very happy. He's actually at Navarra in Serie B right now. There was no reason to keep him on. He didn't even get registered at any point in the season, so he left there. Marcelo Gazzola, again, went on a free. Didn't really need him. He was playing back up to Nicolas Frey, and if I'm bringing in new fullbacks, there's no real reason to keep him. But I am sort of thinking potentially we might bring him back. We'll see how it goes. Then these guys are just some really terrible regens that I'm not really interested in keeping around. They ran out their contract. I think Francini is probably the best one there, 2.5 star. Domenico Parisi, 2.5 stars. Matteo Rossini, 2 stars. Francesco Scavo, 2.5 stars. Andrea Massetti, 2.5 stars maybe. David Trent, yeah, basically the list goes on and on and on. That guy actually has a real face. Not really much. That's the same guy. Not much to really shout about there. They're not needed. Not gonna be worth much money in the long run. So, and they're not gonna be used to me. So, there's not much point in keeping them. Now, this is the weirdest transfer. Antonio Ragusa going to Huddersfield for 500,000. I don't think he's a particularly great player, which is why I never really played him. He's 27 years old. Cost Huddersfield $500,000, and Huddersfield in this game did in fact get promotion to the English Premier Division. And I think, like, why would they do that? Why would they buy him? Who have they got? Who's Joe Lolly? Like, they've got some really good players, it looks like, in those positions. So why would they decide to buy someone like Antonio Ragusa? I suppose no, they've got some good players, much better players than Antonio Ragusa, I feel like. So anyway, that's their decision. 500,000, easy money, I feel like. Hello 149 Johnny, and hello Ash. Gutted you can't watch. I've got a 5-a-side in a second. I'm sorry to hear that. You just seem to be catching me at the beginning and the tail end of my streams today. Where are we on? Claude Ajpong, who's obviously got a lot of potential on him. Really good player as well. Could be one of our starting right backs in the future. So he's going to go out on loan and hopefully develop a little bit more. And I believe all his wages are being accounted for. Marcelo Trotta, he's an okay player. I'm sure he'll make a couple of teams happy. In fact, Cordoba, who are in the Spanish second division. Not a bad player, just not good enough really to stay in my team, and I'm sure that they'll benefit from his services. He's still a young boy as well, so they're probably getting a fair use out of him where he will be heading off to. And that was 600,000, potentially to rise to 725. Nicholas Pierini is another guy who is a youngster, could have a lot of potential, so I've sent him out on loan to grow, hopefully into a great player. Now, this is the one that really changed the game for me this season. Francesco Acerbi. Now, you might not have seen it because I only included so much in my actual behind-the-scenes part of what was going on. But you can actually... He was asking to be sold if we didn't reach Champions League football this year. And I was like... Mate, don't be like that. And I tried very hard to get in Champions League, and obviously we didn't get there. We only had to settle for a 4th place finish, and he was like, oh, I want to go. And he was like, what's it going to take to get you to accept my bid? And I was like, well, if a bid comes in for something really unrealistic, like 10 million, then yeah, I'll sell you. And he was like, that's unfair, that's so unrealistic, I can't believe how you're handling this, blah, 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 blah. So we got to a point where Juventus bid 10 million for him, and I was like, okay then, I don't think you're that special of a centre-back, and you've got to consider who Juventus actually have in their squad. They've got Leonardo Bonucci, they've got, running down the list so far, where are all their centre-backs gone? Got Benassia if they want him. They should have, I don't know who, Carlos Blanco. Where's Chiellini? Yeah, he's still there. So, like, how are you honestly going to get into that squad? You're going to be sitting on the bench the whole time, which makes no difference to me. But anyway, 10 million in the bank, and that gave us so much money to actually work with off the back of that. Gianmarco Ferrari, 675,000. Good little player. I'm sure he'll make a team happy. Verona, again, who have just been promoted to the Serie A, I believe. So, he could be a good player for them, but not really good enough for my squad. This is also a weird one. Andrea Consigli has decided to leave us. A bid came in. I rejected it. He was not happy that he was having his dreams thwarted at Roma, who are a team that don't have European football this year. But he decided to go to Roma anyway. In hindsight, if I didn't actually realize how expensive good keepers are, I should have probably got more money for him. 2.6 million potential to rise to 3.7 million. Yeah, I didn't think he was very amazing last year. Made a couple of clutch saves, but nothing that I thought wasn't replaceable. So I decided to let him go and feature in a team that has no European football. And I think that Roma decided to bring him in because Szczesny's gone back from his loan he's gone back to Arsenal off of his loan. So they're looking for a new replacement, apparently. This one's going to break some hearts, but also probably make a few people happy, like Ouija. Gary Hooper's gone to Pescara. I put him up for sale because I wanted to upgrade my strikers, and although I still think Gary Hooper has some good stats and could be a good striker, and he was bad with me, 15 in 34 in the league, got 22 goals in 41 appearances overall. It's just time that he had to go, you know, and I put him up. Bid came in for 1.5 from Pescara, and they obviously liked what he did last year. So, yeah, they decided to offload him. Alberto Acolani's still lurking about. He's a nice little player. I know I sent him off. He's still a player I wouldn't mind bringing back, because now I feel like I actually have a reason to bring him in, but I'll get onto that in a second. yeah, so we'll still see him lurking around in the league. He'll obviously be a player that will inevitably score against me. But I also feel like Pescara should have better strikers available to them. Or maybe I'm being naive. Who have they got? Stefano Pettianieri, who they should really be starting guys like that. They've got Alberto Gilardino. Again, a bit slow, but it's not a bad player. Alessandro Polidori. Okay, so they haven't got the best of strikers, fair enough. But I feel like Gary Hooper, you could do better than that. Luca Anti, this is also another one that might ruffle a few feathers because I think he's an okay player. And he obviously didn't make it into the squad the second half of the season. But I just felt like we needed to upgrade a bit. I felt like I could have got better players for a backup centre-back position. He's not going to grow any further as a player. He's 25 years old. I feel like we could have probably done better. And I took the 800 that I could because he's not going to play. Simple as that, unfortunately. Vincenzo Brunella, there's not much to say about this guy. I had really high hopes for him. He got injured at the start of last season. Never featured. Played 4 games of the league. Didn't do anything when he came on. And I still maintain he's got good stats. It's just a shame he didn't really score. 900,000, I'll take that as it was. Try and cut my losses. Emmanuel Manike, he's obviously not a player that I'm going to start on a regular basis. He's not the key feature that we're building a team around. He's 30 years old. And although he did a good job in the few occasions he played for us last year, 7 appearances and 2 goals, I think it was time to get him off simply because his wages were quite high. I don't want someone sitting on the bench for that kind of money for a whole year who's not really going to feature. And then there are a couple loan deals. These are guys who are youth prospects who are either going to feature in the team once they've developed fully, or we could at least, that's the same guy, we can at least sell them on later on into the save if we reach that far. So that's why they've been loaned out and kept, because they've all pretty much got like 3 or 4 stars plus ability. This guy looks like a really good player for the midfield. Already 3-star player at 20 years old. He's got some nice well-rounded stats. Could reach 4-star potential, which will be nice and tasty. Now let's get to the ins. You guys have probably been staring them, although I'm not sure how good the quality of the stream is, so you might not actually be able to see it that well. Maybe I need to upgrade that. So the first one is Federico Ricci, which we already knew he was coming in. We got him on a free off of Roma, funnily enough, which I still don't understand how that worked out. I think he was running out of some sort of contract. And Roma didn't really want to keep him around, so we brought him on full-time at the end of last season. It's not new news, so we won't dwell on it too long. The first one, Ervin Zukanovic. So we raided Roma a little bit in this transfer window, first of all with Ricci. Now, some of you might recognize him. He was playing at Roma. He last season played at Atalanta. Now, he cost me 700,000, and we obviously let go what was our best centre-back in Acerbi. Now, if you compare the two, if I can actually find him. Where is he gone? God, I've got to find him. See, I did this. I looked around earlier, and it was quite easy to find with Acerbi, but we're going to have to go and find him ourselves, apparently. Type that in. Francesco Acerbi, comparison, compare with Zukanovic. You look at this graph, very even, I would say. There are moments where either one will tilt a little bit higher on what they can do. It's also nice that Zukanovic can play at left back in some respect. And we pull out the attributes. You look at the stats, like, admittedly a lot of these are stats that are not necessary for a centre-back. For example, his finishing, his crossing, corners are not necessarily stats for a centre-back that we really care about in some respects. It's stuff like first touch, which Acerbi edges by 1. I suppose free kick take is not a bad stat to have on a centre-back when they do give away fouls in our half. But his heading, 2 better than Acerbi, so we've got a bit more aerial threat there. Long shots, I guess, is somewhat okay, and long throws, if you utilise them right, is also a nice stat to have on a centre-back. Marking, he loses out by 1, but it's not a huge difference. Passing's better. His penalty take is better, but that's not really a thing. Tackling, even. Go to the mental side. Although Acerbi admittedly is a very good mental player, there are also areas where Zukanovic either equals him, is edged out slightly, or betters him. and Acerbi only slightly better in the physical department. So I think when you compare the fact that I've got this guy for less than a tenth of what I made off of Acerbi, I feel like that's such a good deal. And I'm going to be honest, I feel like this is probably one of the best transfer windows I've ever done in a Football Manager save. Admittedly, I've only been playing Football Manager seriously for the past couple of years. Well, this year and last year. So I haven't had too many to shout about and write home about. But I think that's a really good deal, considering he's only a year older than him. So, again, I think that's actually worked out really well for us. And if it doesn't go in my way, I suppose I could hopefully get someone else at the end of the season or halfway through. I mean, at the end of the day, I made so much money off him. I bought in quite a few players that have really upgraded the squad, I feel like. Now, the next guy is Emmanuel Swagger, who's a centre-back. And he won't be our starting centre-back, but, again, a really good player. He's like the replacement to Ante. I got him on a free, Emmanuel Swagger. Who did he play for? Bari, who are Italian Serie B. I don't know how they let him go. He obviously didn't want to sign on again with them. Pretty decent mentals. Pretty good physicals. His stats in his defending areas are pretty damn good as well. I don't know if we can get a little comparison here. Some of the stats don't technically matter for Ante. But he edges him out on heading, edges him out on marking, edges him out on tackling. His mentals are arguably a lot better, apart from his work rate. And his physicals are a little bit less, but he's also got some room to maneuver. So he's only 2.5 star potential at the moment. Can grow to 3. So he could even edge Ante out even more. And for free, I got him for free. And Ante, I got for 800 for him. So I see that as profit, really. And he can sort of play left back a bit if he needs to. So we're not too worried about that. I think that was and he's 24 years old. I feel like that's some good business there. And now we're getting on to another bit of good business, I feel like. Leandro Castan, who also was just sitting there in Roma's under-20 team. He went on loan to Torino last year, played 33 times. He's also 30 years old. And you look at his stats, again, really good player. Let's compare him to Acerbi, because it's not just Zukanovic who edges out Acerbi. This guy equally is just as good as Acerbi for less than a tenth of the price. And we look down the stats, free kick taking, he's got better, which again, not really a stat that matters too much. Equal on heading, long throws 12, marking 18. He's like this guy is an upgrade to Di Michelis without a shadow of a doubt. Tackling, edges in by 2. Look at the mentals. Bit neck and neck, certain areas that Acerbi's better in, some areas that Leandro Castan is better in. Obviously, it looks like he is much better as far as the physicals go. I am slightly worried about his jumping reach and his heading being 14. That's the only worry about Castan. But I think when you compare these guys together, I think we might even try and compare him to Di Michelis. The package that these two guys will actually bring to the team, I feel like they have every area covered in some respects. Like technically very good players, mentally good players, physically not bad at all. And combine, they cost me 1.4 million. Acerbi went to Juventus and he's going to sit on the bench, and he brought in 10 million that I've put to use. So in my opinion, I've made some good business there. Juvan Zapata. Now, you guys should be familiar with him. He was at Napoli last year. I don't think he had too bad a stint as well. No, he was on loan at Udinese. Was he on loan at Udinese, or did he go to Udinese? Yeah, I bought him from Napoli. So he was on loan for a couple of years at Udinese, and Napoli, they've got so much talent, they obviously don't need him. But I think he's a good player. He actually needs a talking to. Let me tell him. No. I wanted to tell him that he needs to step up his training, because that's usually what all this negative means. But ignoring the fact that all his stats seem to be declining. Okay, you can't see that because my face cam's in the way, but Susie's writing messages to me that pop up. You know, like on Facebook, you get those little messages in the top bottom right corner. Anyway, Yeah, he's the kind of player I want. I need a big target man. I think maybe we could have used and utilized a big target man, like a focal point for our attacks last year, which didn't have. Passing's good, his technique's good, penalty taking, heading's good, long shots, first touch, finishing, dribbling. Mental's all good, has a good work rate, teamwork's good, positioning very good, off the ball very good, composure, concentration, fast man as well, strong as anything, good stamina. I'm excited to get him in. Only 26 years old, 2.5 million. I think that's a pretty good turnaround for me. Seems to get a decent amount of goals every season. You can't actually see that, can you? Let me turn my camera off. You can see it in this bottom right here. 25 goals for Udinese, 11 goals for Napoli, 18 for 40 for whatever that club is. Turn my sexy face back on. Hi. So yeah, I'm happy with that signing again. Didn't cost me much, and that Acerbi money went straight into getting myself a forward. This is one of the greatest signings ever. Giuseppe Rossi on a free. The experience this man brings, the technique. Look at that. Look at all that sexy, sexy green right there for this man. Look at all that sexy, sexy green. This is the only part that worries me slightly, and maybe why he's been given up on a free. Not the fastest of players. Stamina's not amazing. His strength is obviously low. He's not really going to jump anywhere. But I feel like for what I got, he's free. Like, how can you not be happy with that signing? He was absolute steal. Taking a bit on the wages, but absolute great signing for a striker. So we've got two great strikers who are like really good in their own individual ways. We come to what is the most expensive signing we've made this season, Lucas Fabianski. Now, obviously, with selling Consigli, I had to bring in a goalkeeper, and I was sitting there like, Jesus, keepers are expensive. To get a good keeper, they are very expensive. And I feel like we have made not just replaced him, but we have made a step up, in my opinion. I'm going to have to go and find him and then compare him to Lucas Fabianski. I feel like we've definitely made a step up. You look at this, and blue for Fabianski going everywhere. His kicking slightly better. Tendency to punch isn't really that big a deal. Reflexes is slightly better. Mentals are better. Consigli's physicals are obviously a little bit better because he's probably younger. But I think we've made an upgrade there as well, boys. And 5 million wasn't too shabby to steal him away from Swansea. Come on to our backup keeper, who obviously has to replace the guys who retired, Willy Caballero. Now, I was hoping to get him on a free, because his contract obviously ran out at the end of last season. But you look at his stats, really great. Cost me 600,000. He is on a bit of a fair wage, but when you consider, like, if your goalkeeper goes down, you don't want to have to rely on someone who's really poo, especially if you're pushing for, like, a title race. Drink of the day is Morrison's summer fruit juice. Love it. There you go. Thought you were going to miss out on that one. But yeah, I'm really happy with that signing as well. Didn't cost me too much. It's just the wages that are a bit expensive, and probably a bit more expensive for a backup keeper than you want. He's actually making more than Lucas Fabianski by quite some margin, but he's not even going to start. So what an absolute man he is, managing to wrangle that one in. Jamie Moran says, I made some good signings. Love it. 149 Johnny, heading off to the pub quiz in 10 trout. Wish I could stay longer. No problem, mate. This VOD will be ready for you when you get back, drunk and all wavy. Okay, so we come on to the area that we arguably needed to upgrade the most, and that's the fullbacks. Now, we've only gone and signed the one, and that's Dusan Basta for 2.5 million from Lazio. I think it was a good signing. I wouldn't say it was a panic buy, but it was one of those ones that I kind of looked at him for quite a while, and I really liked him, but at the same time, because he was at 32 years old, I didn't really want to have to spend 2.5 million on a 32-year-old, but what can I do? His technical ability is very, very good, much better than Nicholas Frey. His mentals are arguably just as good as Nicholas, and his physicals are definitely better, which is something I feel like Nicholas Frey was exploited for last season. Got the stats I want. The only problem, again, is that his aerial ability is not great. Jumping reach only 10, heading 9, which, on the one hand, not really that important for a fullback, you could argue. But at the same time, when I think about the fact that Castan's not that great in the air, it could create a problem from set pieces. That's the only worry I have here. And then we've got Michel Chavon, I think is how you say it. Cavion or Chavon. I'm going to call him Chavon, because it probably is not said how it's spelt. He's an okay player. 2-star current ability. Has the potential to get to 3.5 star. He is on loan from Juventus, who are an affiliate club of ours. I just don't want to be in a situation where we don't have enough players, even though we have quite a few centre midfielders. We do play with 3, and we've got 2 that sit on the bench. So you want to make sure that you have your backs covered. And it didn't cost me anything to bring him here. Not paying for any of his wages. So not a bad little deal there. And you might have seen earlier, we're looking at this guy to bring in just because it's always good to have someone to back up for. He's not the most fantastic player, but his physicals are pretty decent. His technical stats are okay, and he's going to be there in a last case scenario if we needed him. And obviously, I don't think he's costing me too much if we do decide to bring him in. Now, that does leave us actually with not too much to work with. I think we're actually over budget on the wages as well. So I don't think we're going to actually be able to bring anyone else in. I was looking at Nathan Aki, who's actually gone to Coruna in the Spanish division, but they wanted such an outrageous amount for him, and I was going to probably play him at left back. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with, honestly, I think that I made so, I don't want to get big-headed, but I feel like I made so many good signings overall. Like, the transfers I've done have been extremely tasty and beneficial to what I had, and I made quite a few upgrades. I've also been financially savvy about it. Looking at the clauses, Caballero has got a clause where if he makes 50 appearances, he's got to pay City some money. Consigli is going to be paying for a lot of different things. I'm not going to dip too much into it. Defrel's still contributing some money. We have to play Malaga if Dimachev plays too many games, which isn't the end of the world for me. J. Emmanuel Thomas, I can't get rid of him. You can just see all these. There's little bits and bobs where that's where the money is going to be going, which we have to be obviously aware of. So let's run through the squad and the tactics. We're still playing with the same formation. I am considering playing, I don't know if I can copy this. I just want to change it ever so slightly. Is it that one? There we go. No, that's not it. Give me that. Right, there we go. Okay. Andrew's come in with a financially savvy, gives backup keeper 60,000 per week and is 40k over budgets on wages. Alright, chill out, mate. Chill out. Willie has given you the willy with those wages and clauses, hasn't he? Yeah, well, I mean, I want to try and push for the title. I hate having backup keepers who aren't good enough. No. Hello. You finished? Okay. Yeah, I don't really want to have a situation where I have to use a backup keeper in his pants. He did have a lot of wages, and I looked around. I don't know. I'm not too fussed about it, if I'm honest. So I am thinking about potentially doing something like this because we've got very good centre-backs, is maybe playing with wing-backs and then taking out the central defensive midfielder and bringing on Emmanuel Swagger and playing something like that. Or we could potentially go with something like this. Just because wing-back formations seem to be really good on Football Manager, and I feel like we could use with more defenders, but at the same time, like making sure that we have threat going forward, if that makes sense. Where's Magnanelli gone? Because I want him to be on the pitch, but anyway. So yeah, we're pretty much running with the same thing. I think Pellegrini's just about to edge out Sensi. We'll run through the squad. So obviously you saw Lucas Fabianski. We've seen Dusan Basta, who's a great right back, definitely a major upgrade. Irvin Zukanovic, who I think is on a par with a Cherby at least. Leandro Castan is on a par, I feel like, with a Cherby, definitely an upgrade from Dimachev. And together, I feel like I've upgraded that centre-back partnership, especially since if they played at Roma together, it's likely that they'll have some sort of chemistry, or I hope so. We're still keeping Peluso around because I still feel like he's a very good left back. The only problem is he didn't have the best of seasons last year. I don't know what it was that... It just seems like the fullbacks get really badly exploited on this game, which is why I'm considering playing with wing-backs, because at least if they find themselves in a situation where they're getting people in behind them, at least the centre-backs could potentially cover them and have more numbers back there. I guess that's kind of what I'm getting the gist of, or maybe it'll give us more attacking threat going forward so we can score a few more goals and not have to worry so much. Magnanelli's getting on a little bit. His physicals are dipping slightly due to his age, but still sitting in the defensive midfield spot. Alfred Duncan, who I am heavily considering dropping back to centre defensive midfield, but as I said, I like playing that box-to-box role, but if Magnanelli's, you know, going to come to the end of his career soon, I'm thinking that it's time to start replacing him, and we've got such an amazing player in Alfred Duncan that he is going to be playing such a pivotal role. And it also means that I can bring on a youngster like Sensi and Pellegrini to play that central midfield role where they're probably, arguably, a bit more technically gifted as far as the attacking areas go. Domenico Berardi didn't actually have the best of seasons for us when he came back after the Christmas break. But I'm hoping he will show us exactly what he's got, and he's only 23 years old. Matteo Politano, I want to see him contribute a few more goals and assists this season. We might have to start playing him as an inside forward because he didn't actually do as much last year, but he was still a high-rated player. And we obviously saw Giuseppe Rossi up top. Now on the bench, Willy Caballero. I've seen a few comments going on. Joe Hardcastle says the only other issue with Willy is that it is a 2-year deal. So if you don't want him next season, it'll be hard to get rid of. Very true, very true. I'm sure we can find someone to offload it if we didn't want him. But at the same time, I think I could probably wrangle... I think I would probably be okay with him sticking around. Who knows? Maybe he'll just decide to retire, or I'll force him to retire, or I'll break his legs. I mean, yeah, like it is a bit of an issue having 60k wages, but the fact that we freed up wages elsewhere, I'm not overly concerned. I'd rather have that backup keeper who's actually, when I bring him in, like say Fabianski gets injured for like 6 months, we've got to start playing Willy Caballero. I feel like that's not a bad position. Obviously, it's not the best of ideas. He's earning somehow almost 20,000 more than Fabianski. Let's just hope they don't have a conversation between each other. But I actually really don't mind having a expensive keeper on the bench just to ensure that when I bring him on, we're not like challenging for the title. It's neck and neck. Fabianski goes down. We've got to bring on our sub keeper. Oh dear, it's some absolute goon who can't, you know, operate his hands properly. Stefano Sensi, he's got a little bit of injury right now. As I said before, he had a great season last year, but he's not grown at all, despite playing so regularly. So I have actually considered and toyed with the idea, because if he does grow to that 4-star potential, you look at these stats already, he will be a monster, absolute monster. He's 22 years old. Maybe I have toyed with the idea of sending him out on loan and getting someone who's really old, isn't actually that bothered about playing, is happy to sit on the bench, who's got very good stats. Someone like an Alberto Aquilani. I wouldn't have minded bringing him in for this season, not so much last season, just so that I have that extra midfielder and I can field out some youngsters as well as get him essentially the game time that he needs. Because at the moment, as things are going with Pellegrini, Duncan and Magnanelli, he's not actually going to play every single game, which is now why I'm considering bringing Duncan back to central defensive midfield, taking out Magnanelli and putting Sensi in. I think maybe if we came up against games like, you know, your Juventus's, Inter Milan's, Napoli, I would probably bring on Magnanelli just for that defensive stability and to have Duncan there as well, defensively so solid alongside him, playing the box-to-box. Got Mazzatelli again. He is not progressing hugely, but has so much potential ability. Another guy who I felt like loaning out and maybe getting in someone who doesn't mind sitting on the bench. Michel Chavion, as I said, he's just there to make up numbers, really. Not a big issue about him or anything I really want to shout home about. He can also play in a few positions. He can actually play on the left of midfield if we ever needed it. He can play on the left attacking midfield, centre attacking midfield. So I guess it's not too bad of a signing there. And Zapata, we said again, young, strong target man that we've now got available up front. Federico Ricci, who came on a free, can play on that right attacking midfield or left attacking midfield, which is the end of which is not bad. Emmanuel Swagger, who is our backup centre back, he can play slightly on that left back position. I think I actually mentioned this. Oh, let's go back. My mouse wheel's broken. Irvin Zakanovic can play left back, so we do have that backup left back if needed. I know we've only got Peluso at the moment. Paul Lirola, who is still lurking about. He's actually growing despite me not ever playing him, and he's looking like a nice, tasty little right back. I don't think I'm paying for his wages at all. He didn't even go back to Juventus. I didn't recall him or anything. He just stayed here. He obviously didn't want to go back. I mean, look at that face. He's saying, "Don't let me go, Mr. Christopher. I don't want to go." So we'll see if he actually can start a few games. It depends how Basta gets on. Okay, I'm just finishing. I promise. Give me 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. Please. Honestly, 5 minutes. I'm literally finished.
This says you have 1 minute and 9 seconds left.
I'm rushing through it, please. You're embarrassing me in front of my friends.
Your friends should know how to be on time. Now you're going to have a grumpy girlfriend.
Oh.
Which one's more important?
Oh, I'm literally finished.
No, you're not.
Just give me 5 minutes.
Correct use of the word literally.
I'm literally finished. Diego Falcinelli. Now, he's a guy who obviously was on loan at Crotone last year, and they got relegated. 9 goals in 31 is not bad. He can play up front, so he's like our third choice striker at the moment. I suppose we got Berardi as well. So maybe he's necessarily fourth choice. But what's great, and I didn't actually realise until he came back, is he can play left and right attacking midfield. So now, whereas last year I had Ricci and Politano on the left and right, and not really much to swap them out with apart from Emmanuel Thomas and Antonio Ragusa, I can now swap Berardi and Politano around. Politano is probably the weakest one as far as versatility goes, but Berardi can play on the left. We can bring in Diego Falcinelli, he can play on the left and the right. We can also bring in Ricci up into there. So it's all going really well. We've got options there now. So if one of them gets injured for a long time, we have backups. Martin Di Michelis is still lurking around, 49,000. I tried to offload him, but teams wanted me to help contribute to his wages. But yeah, I'm going to try and look to loan him out. Bosko Jakovic is still lurking about. I can't get rid of him. Nicholas Frey wanted to actually go to this team in the League One, and I didn't have a replacement for him at the time, and I thought I wanted him to be my backup right back. And I was like, no, mate, I don't want you to go. He didn't like it. And then, just out of spite, I just kept declining them, just to teach him a lesson. J. Emmanuel Thomas is still here. Can't get rid of him. I can't get rid of Karim Laribi at the moment. Pietro Iamella I can't get rid of, even though I feel like a team would really benefit from having him around. Jeremy Bro is on loan. Matteo Rizzuto, another loanee, who is just there to make up the registration requirements. So is Leonardo Vitali. Claude Ajpong is out on loan because he's a prospect. Enrico Mora, another one, and Christian Cannavaro makes up the registration requirements and is a fantastic player. Look at all those green arrows going up, and the potential ability on him is outstanding. So that's pretty much it. Like, we've had an undefeated start. Oh, rest in peace, sweet Prince. Gary Hooper scored 2 goals in the first friendly that we had, and you can see we've been okay in the preseason. Our next home game is going to be against Sampdoria, and that's pretty much it. So I really do appreciate you guys stopping by this quick stream. I know it's not really the most magical of things. I've just run through what has happened in the preseason. It's all going well. Some of you are a bit hit and miss about Willy Caballero, but do let me know what you think about my signings, whether you think it's really good. I think I've had a really good preseason and the signings that I made. I'll bring them up again just for you to stare. I think that the signings I made were really good. I think questionably, apart from maybe Willie Caballero, some of you feel like financially it's not the best deal, but I don't mind it because he is a fantastic keeper, and having him on the bench if he is needed is great to have. So I think that kind of justification and meaning justifies it for me, maybe not the rest of you, but I like that. And I've made some, apart from that, everything else I think is quite financially savvy overall. We've made some good transfers. But I'm going to have to leave it there. If you do enjoy the video, do drop a like rating. I really appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't done to the channel. The next stream I do for this game, I'm not sure when it will be because I'm very busy at the moment. Today is one of the few days where I've had time to sit down and play games and talk to you boys. So I'll let you know. Just follow me on Twitter as well, @thetrout91, and you can talk to me on there. I'm always a game to reply to people, and you can get involved in how the series is going there. So, I'm going to have to leave you there. Hope you have a good evening. I'll see you later. Peace out.